Welcome to The Explainer. We are diving into something massive today, urbanization. Often categorized as Framework 17 in Global Development Goals, this monumental relocation of humanity isn't just some abstract population stat. It is the ultimate catalyst for industry growth. But, as we'll soon see, it's also a crucible. It's a severe real-time test of our infrastructure, our resources, and our project management capabilities. Literally every industry, from construction to tech, is being fundamentally reshaped by this shift.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the century of cities, unpack the drivers of urban expansion, and then dig right into the engine of industry growth. After that, we'll face the risks of unplanned growth and wrap the whole thing up with building net positive cities. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The Century of Cities. Right now, for the first time in human history, more than half of the world's population lives in cities. That is 4.4 billion people. To really wrap your head around that number, think about it like this. Industries basically have to sustain a population that's the equivalent of building and filling a brand new Tokyo every single month. I mean, just imagine the infrastructure, the supply chains, and the daily services required to manage that kind of density. It's a massive logistical reality that's dictating all global market trends.
And you know, that number, it isn't slowing down anytime soon. By 2050, a staggering 68% of the world's population will be urban. We're staring down a future where over 2/3 of humanity will live, work, and consume entirely within city limits. If you are in an industry doing any sort of long-term forecasting or supply chain logistics, this 68% is absolutely the most critical metric you can track.
Let's just look at the sheer speed of this trajectory for a second. Back in the year 2000, the urban population sat at about 2.9 billion. Fast forward to 2020, we hit that 4.4 billion mark. Moving into 2030, we're looking at 5.2 billion, scaling all the way up to nearly 7 billion by 2050. So this isn't some slow, gradual trickle, right? This is explosive exponential growth. We're talking about billions of new consumers entering urban markets, all needing housing, energy, and connectivity.
Which brings us to Section 2, Drivers of Urban Expansion.
So what's actually making this expansion so unstoppable? Well, it's a super complex mix of pushes and pulls. Naturally, we've got your baseline population growth and rural to urban migration. People are actively pulled to cities by the promise of jobs, better education, and just, a higher quality of life in general. And the tech industry plays a huge role here, centralizing all that connectivity and innovation. But on the flip side, there are massive push factors too. Things like climate change and environmental stress in rural areas are increasingly forcing people to migrate toward urban safety nets. That turns climate stress into an urgent industry challenge that demands immediate solutions.
All right, moving on to Section 3, the engine of industry growth.
Get this, cities generate more than 80% of global GDP. Let that sink in for just a second. While they take up only a tiny fraction of the Earth's landmass, they're responsible for 80% of our total economic output. Because they concentrate talent, ideas, and entrepreneurship, they become these ultimate innovation hubs. If your business wants to scale, you absolutely have to be plugged into the urban ecosystem because, frankly, that's where the vast majority of global wealth and productivity is generated. And because of this intense economic gravity, over 60% of all infrastructure investment in the coming decades is going to pour directly into urban areas. This is where Framework 17, that global focus on urbanization, becomes an absolute growth engine for the construction, engineering, and tech industries. We are talking about trillions of dollars being mobilized to build out the transit systems, the energy grids, and the commercial spaces needed to keep these massive economic engines humming. But here's the catch. Industry growth isn't just about building more. Sustainable urbanization is fundamentally about building better. The industries that are truly going to thrive in the 21st century are the ones that deliver projects that are inclusive, resilient, resource-efficient, and highly livable. It's a balancing act. We have to build out our current capacity while ruthlessly protecting the viability of the city for future generations.
That naturally leads us to Section 4, Risks of Unplanned Growth.
Because right now, industries are walking a massive tightrope. On one hand, cities are vibrant innovation hubs offering hyper-efficient services and incredible potential for lowering per capita resource consumption. But, and this is a big but, if left unplanned, that exact same density causes severe infrastructure strain. It buckles our transport, our water and energy grids. It sparks crippling housing shortages, massive spikes in pollution, and widening social inequality that fundamentally threatens societal cohesion.
To put just one of those bottlenecks into perspective, consider housing.
By 2050, 2.5 billion people will need adequate housing. That basically means building the equivalent of a small city every single day for the next few decades. No way around it. It's an immense hurdle. But for the development and construction industries, it's a direct mandate to innovate. They have to find ways to build scalable, affordable housing rapidly without sacrificing an ounce of quality.
And we can't ignore that this economic engine comes with a very heavy exhaust. Cities currently account for a massive 70% of global energy-related CO2 emissions. So the very hubs of our global GDP are also the primary drivers of our carbon footprint. For the energy and manufacturing sectors, this means the push for global decarbonization is going to be won or lost right here in our urban centers.
When project management fails, and this urbanization is left unchecked, the risks compound incredibly fast. We start seeing the rapid rise of informal settlements. We get crushing congestion that completely chokes supply chains. We see rampant resource depletion, huge amounts of waste, and totally degraded ecosystems. All of this leads directly to severe public health risks and a plummeted quality of life, ultimately leaving these vital economic hubs highly vulnerable to climate hazards. It is literally a domino effect of systemic failure.
So, how do we fix it? Let's go to Section 5, Building Net Positive Cities.
So how do we actually pull this off? Well, take Singapore's City in a Garden vision. It's a prime, real-world execution of the 17 urbanization framework. By seamlessly integrating green infrastructure right alongside smart mobility and proactive governance, they prove that prioritizing nature isn't just some nice-to-have environmental ideal. It actually transforms a city into a highly resilient, livable economic powerhouse.
Which brings us to a really profound realization for modern industry. I want to read this directly because it hits the nail on the head. The way we plan, finance, design, and operate our cities will determine our ability to achieve sustainable development, social equity, and environmental resilience in the 21st century. Think about that. Every single bridge built, every financing model approved, every supply chain optimized, it all directly shapes the daily well-being of millions of people.
So what's the actionable framework for us here? Well, first, plan for people. Design for deep connection by creating compact and inclusive spaces. Build for resilience so we can withstand inevitable climate shocks. Manage resources wisely. We need to move aggressively towards circular economies. Prioritize those investments in green and digital infrastructure. And above all else, collaborate across sectors. Because let's be real, operating in silos is only going to slow us down.
Which leaves us here. As humanity rushes toward a reality where nearly 7 billion of us share urban spaces, the pressure on industries to adapt and innovate is absolute. So, how will your next project contribute to a city that is resilient, inclusive, low carbon, and built to last? The century of cities is already here. Are you ready to build it? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really look forward to seeing how you shape the cities of tomorrow.